What is up, everyone? Today we're taking a look at the Tier 8 Royal Navy British aircraft carrier Indomitable. This ship has gained some notoriety lately on account of its carpet bombers. While the carrier was absurdly strong at times within its tier, hotfix 8.0.3 has somewhat neutered the carrier by decreasing the bombers in a sortie, knocking it down from 6 to 4, and decreasing the hangar size from 9 to 6. Dive bomber reload has also been tweaked from 142 seconds down to 117 on account of the smaller hangar space. The aircraft on the Indomitable are de Havilland Sea Hornets, which are the naval version of the Mosquito. They're fast and they're stout, providing ample armor, which is good. Your dive bombers have a 187 knot cruising speed, which boosts to 261 knots. Attack aircraft are pretty much the same, give or take a few knots. Each of your bombers carries 6 250-pound GP bombs with a maximum damage of 6,000 hit points. You won't land every single bomb though, so you will never see that theoretical 72,000 hit points worth of damage. What you can expect is something usually in the ballpark of 4 to 10,000 damage on average if you time and land your run correctly, and that's pretty good. The beauty of these bombs though isn't in the damage, it's the fire chance. Each bomb has a 40% chance of starting fires. Even if 2 of your bombs connect, you have a decent chance of starting a fire. I won't say it's a given, but on most of your bombing runs, you will see a fire. You'll likely see multiple fires, in fact. From there, you can either circle back for another run if you didn't start one, or you can spread the love and move on to another ship. Bombing runs are comfortable. Unlike USN and IJN bombers, you don't have to be right up on top of a ship to start your attack. You can start your run 5 to 6 kilometers out and boost up on the enemy, and I would highly recommend boosting because the plane speed do play into effect on the physics of your bombs. The faster you are, the faster your bombs drop. I haven't really touched on attack planes, and that's because I really don't value them as much on the Indomitable. Against battleships, the damage is hit or miss, and the fire chance is as well. After 8.0.3, they're also much harder to use against destroyers. You can still scout in them, but as an actual offensive weapon, there's really no point when you have such wonderful bombers which work well against destroyers. Hindering the capabilities of the rockets is the fact that they're Tier 6 rockets. Yes, they're the same rockets found on the Tier 6 Furious. To compensate, you get the bombs from the Tier 10 Audacious, but the problem is with less planes and less hit pool, you don't have the attack aircraft as a viable backup weapon because their rockets are just poor. And if one destroyer slips by, well, game over, man. As it stood when I spec'd my ships, I had 13.5 kilometer concealment, which is a little less comfortable than I would have liked, especially considering you only have 54,200 hit points. Of course, I did not opt for the concealment commander skill, using it for other skills instead. I might change this in the future because of the elephant in the room, and that is Tier 10 matches. While the Indomitable plays just fine in her own tier, she also struggles when facing stacked AA in her own tier. This is even more pronounced now that you have fewer planes. Up-tiering is the true issue, where AA gets insane. You have to choose your targets wisely. This means farming battleships that have been separated from the herd, and even on these battleships, you'll likely only get one drop-off. The plus side is these Tier 9 and Tier 10 battleships are likely going to let their fires burn. That's damage for you. Of course, it'll just get repaired back, and you get to go back to your aircraft carrier and are lucky if you get to launch 2 or even 3 planes. And this is where the pain starts. You float bomberless with plenty of rocket fighters that really can't do any meaningful damage. Really, the only solution I can think of to help this situation is to give heal to the bombers, but I don't even know if that's enough. This will at least help the Indomitable in Tier 10 matches, which you're likely going to be spending a fair amount of time. Thus begins the highs and lows of the Indomitable. You can pull off some phenomenal rounds, but because of the way things currently are, you're in for a bit of pain as well. The question you need to ask yourself is whether the allure of a 200,000 damage round outweighs the misery of a 50,000 damage round, and this is basically where the Indomitable stands. Like the other Tier 8 premiums, she's a hodgepodge of overpowered and underpowered tools. The hotfixes are going to swing the pendulum on her back and forth, so it's going to be interesting to see what she's like when she actually gets released. And that's the question, when is she going to get released? We don't know yet. I personally would like to see a couple more tweaks on her, because while I thought she was a little bit powerful before, right now I see a few issues with her. She has potential. She was downright overpowering before, now she's just a little confused. But I think we'll get there. Zoop out.
Enemy